Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is your podcast host, Steve Ramona, and my guest, who's out of South Carolina. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I just wanted to say that because I know people out there. But what a unique story in serving, going from one industry to another that's completely different, but he's serving so many people doing that. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
And we're going to announce he's soon to be a father soon. So this is enriched in the internet that we're saying he's going to have another child, which congratulations, which leads to the question, you work as an engineer. Now you're working, helping people speak. You're a father soon to be of two. How do you manage all that?
Well, really, at the end of the day, it's just taking it one step at a time, looking at the big picture and understanding where I'm trying to go and take my family as the leader of the family, and then really reverse engineering a lot of that. And then from day to day, looking at that, looking at the big picture. So kind of being as an entrepreneur is or a leader is, where we go the 30,000-foot view and then we come back in as we need to. And so that's in a nutshell how I go about doing it. Am I perfect at it every day? By no means. There's times where I have to figure things out. For instance, this morning, I try with having the full-time job, I have to find ways to be able to do work. And part of work is being on podcasts like this. Well, I found out over time where I thought, oh, I'll just do every other weekend, where every other Saturday I'll go do work out, and I go out to my shed. That's where I've got my little studio and everything. And that started to become a problem with my wife. And come to find out, she likes to clean every Saturday morning because that's when she's got the energy versus Saturday afternoon. So finally, I now do it where I'll still do a little bit in the afternoons, but typically I try and focus on us every other weekend. And then on the Saturday afternoons, I'll come out here and do podcasts or work on the business and stuff like that, just for an example. So I work around my wife's schedule a little bit, if you will, and just try and be flexible with my work to make sure things are done. And then also just pulling my share of the load on everything is really how I've really went about all of this.
It's a good husband and father, and a great tip for men that are out there running a business, a solopreneur business that they need to, and especially too, you've got two gigs going on, doing engineering at BMW and doing what you do with speaking sessions. What's another, somebody's listening, they're a father, they're a business owner, Saturdays are big, do I work or not? What's another tip that you can leave them?
Really just communicating what's going on, like at all times. And I don't want to say don't hold anything back, but especially when you're trying to juggle both. As a man, we're the ones that are supposed to provide. We're supposed to be creating the stability. And if you're taking time away from your family and you start talking about every single struggle that comes up in business, we know it as somebody trying to build a business or who has built a business. There are those struggles. There's those times where you're putting in all this effort and nothing's coming as a result of it, especially monetarily. Our wives are going to just think like, well, why are you doing that? And that may not be every wife out there, so I don't want to just put every wife in this category, but still just communicate, especially the good things, and maybe not quite communicate every single bad thing, because then it's, well, why are you doing it? You've already got a job. You're already making money, even though you're trying to make your dream happen. And they're not trying to put you down per se, but if you want to be able to keep your dream alive and you're already having enough negativity come in, that's something you could do. But really just overall communicating what's going on. Are you going to try and go to a networking event? Do you have a coaching call, or are you going out there and building a product for your business? Whatever your business may look like, communicate, hey, I need this time to do this. Hey, are you busy right now? No. Okay. Well, hey, I want to go out here and do this. I'm going to be out there for about this amount of time, and let them know, and try as much as you can to stick to that. Because I've talked to many other men, and when you say, hey, I'm going to do this, and I need about an hour, and then all of a sudden you're an hour and a half or 2 hours in, you do it one time, maybe nothing said. You do it a couple times, your wife remembers every single time. How they do it, I have no clue. As a man, I feel like I just forget things like, oh, they messed up or whatever, and I just forget it within reason. I know there's times where I do, but women seem to not forget that. So as the young man or the man in my same situation, make sure you're communicating, and what you communicate, you do that, because they will remember and they will not forget and you're going to be in the doghouse pretty quickly if you continue time and time again to say, I'm going to do this, and then you don't do that. Because you have to build up the credibility with them too. It's so important for you to
Yeah.
do that, which is why you're communicating. And as you say, as you become a man that's doing what you say you're going to do and saying what you're going to do, that's when the trust comes in. And that's when you'll be able to do more
Yeah.
of the work and spend more time away, because they know when you're away, you're doing this and you're going to be back when you say you're going to be back, instead of always wondering when you're going to come back from playing or just doing something and not being there for the family.
Great words, communication, trust. Great things to think about and talk about. And speaking of communication, you don't look like an engineer. So when you told me before the show in the green room, you're an engineer, you look like a health club or a private trainer. But again, looks, what's don't know that phrase, but that's interesting. Like I said in the intro, you're an engineer going into helping people be better speakers in their life and in their business. One, why? And two, how hard was that transition?
Well, I've always felt like a little bit of an outcast when it came to engineering. Got a degree in electrical engineering, which, if anybody knows about engineers, those are typically the engineers that are very introverted. They like to stay behind the computer. They want to be left alone. And that was not me at all. But I went to school and university starting in 2009, graduated in 2013, and it was in a recession. And so I was always good with numbers. And I thought, hey, I'm going to do this. I never felt more stupid in my life. Some of the top grades for our test were 40s, which is really awesome. So
Wow.
if that says anything, and typically I wasn't at the top of that grade scale there, but I just found that while I could do the engineering, it wasn't something that made me passionate. And I say today, because we talked a little bit about this offline, at one point I was programming the control systems for BMW manufacturing, which means I was programming robots and computers to build vehicles for our manufacturing process. And so I like speaking with people a lot more than I do robots. And so that was kind of a big part there. But also, while I enjoy the work, I enjoy working with the people I work with, and I know I'm doing a great job for the company as well as building safe cars for the customers. I didn't feel like I was creating the impact that I truly could create as a programmer, as a project manager that I am now. So I wanted to do something different, and that was speaking. And I saw how much it's transformed my life, and I knew if I could help other people get better at speaking, then I could help them transform their lives so much more. And so it's funny you also mentioned about me looking like I'm a fitness person, because that was actually the first business I started to try, was online personal training. Loved it for myself, couldn't stand doing it for other people because there was always excuses, always this, always that. And it was the first business, so there's definitely a lot of things I could have learned and done better. And so I ended up finding my way over to the speaking side rather than the fitness side. And so yeah, I do have that background. I love it for myself, but I also feel like I couldn't create quite the impact with helping an individual or maybe a small group of people with their health and fitness as I could helping somebody speak. Because when you can communicate to the masses, and you can change so many more people and inspire so many more people that way versus being in good shape and helping your family out and stuff. So for me personally, I felt like speaking, I could create more impact.
Yeah, that's so personal too. For you, it's that. For me, it might be different. For some listeners, it's different. But the cool is that bridge. You weren't happy here. You're still doing it as an engineer, but eventually moving over into this new business. Because I think a lot of people jump into a new business and leave their 8 to 5 and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm starting from ground zero," instead of kind of moving into that new business slowly as it grows and you grow with it.
Yeah.
Powerful what you're doing.
Oh yeah. And I already had a guy that, well, it's funny now, he's not a speaking coach. He started a new business, but he was like really hating on me. Like, why aren't you quitting? When are you going to jump out? Like, giving me a hard time because I hadn't gotten to this point where I felt financially stable enough to jump out. And plus I've got a wife and a kid on the way. I'm not going to go down that route right now because, I may not be here on this earth anymore. I'm just kidding. but
No,
but
it
still,
is.
like, I had somebody, hating on me for that. And so this is encouragement for you if you're going through the same situation. I've found more people that are inspired by the fact that and admire that I'm doing both at the same time rather than just jumping in full time and then now I'm struggling. I've got commission breath because I've got to make money or I can't take care of my family and feed them. So if you're in that 9 to 5, keep going. It does suck in the moment, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And I'm saying this to myself too.
Yeah, no, it's Philip, I'm a big advocate and I'm support you 100%. And there's a badge of honor for that. Like mothers and stay-at-home mothers,
Mhm.
not that there's a relation there, but I like what you said. And it's your journey. It's
Yeah.
not Steve Ramona's journey. It's not the listener's journey. This is your journey. Either
Yeah.
support her or get out of the way. I hate to be so harsh. That's all we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and sometimes you have to be harsh like that. You've got to cut those people out. And that's a tough thing to do. And it's a tough thing to conceptualize at first. But as you start cutting people out of your life that are that negativity, you open yourself up to so much more. And it is hard to think about. But once you start doing it, you'll realize just how much those people held you back. In entrepreneurship, it's a roller coaster, especially an emotional roller coaster. Some days you feel on top of the world, man. I'm about to get this client. This is great. And the next day you're like, oh man, I don't have enough money coming in. And I had this happen recently is you hear about, oh man, day one of the month starting at $0. And then I realized, man, because I had a good month the month before, and then it was my best month ever. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm back at 0. Like I've got to do this again. And it's not like the 9 to 5 where it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do your job, you're going to get paid. And so it is this emotional roller coaster, and you're going halfway through the month. You're like, I haven't really made any money yet, or I've only made a little bit. I'm not even close to my best month or my average month. And then all of a sudden, the last like 5 days, boom, you get your money, and you're like, whoa, this is awesome. But it's an emotional roller coaster. And so you don't need negative people in your life to keep your emotions down low. You need people that are going to be there to support you and encourage you to continue to go.
And that's a true servant, Phil. I appreciate you saying that. Because keep in mind, listeners, that when you let go of somebody, you're not helping them, they're not helping you. You're really serving each other. It's hard to see that, but I see it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. And it's helping both people. Same with firing an employee and things like that. We always follow, oh my God, the guy's not going to make a job. He was going to, but it's not fitting. It's not serving each of the, the employee and the employer when that relationship is there. So let them move on and do different things. We're communicating here. You said communication a number of times, which is why you're good at what you do. But really, how does people learn to speak better, serve others, and serve them?
What I found, and this is a little bit different than most people would probably suggest for you to do. So you go to Toastmasters. That's an amazing way for you to learn more of a proper, more educational way, or educated way, if you will, a formal way. That's where I'm looking for, is a more formal way to get better at speaking and presenting. But what I found to help is getting in reps. So what can you do? Well, we got this beautiful thing called an iPhone, or if you're one of those people that are, I mean, God bless you if you're an Android user. Just kidding about that.
I'm an Android user, so you hit home.
There we go.
Well, we're still buddies.
As we say in the South, bless your heart. But,
Yep.
but anyways, no, if you have a phone and you have internet and you have Facebook, start doing reels today. I can't tell you how much just doing reels alone, and I've done some other things too along the way, but just starting to do video content has helped me. I was actually going through on YouTube and trying to see who's posted podcasts that I've been on before, and I saw one from like 3 years ago where I was like talking like this the whole time. 3 years ago, where I talk like this, just a monotone voice, and here I am just trying to sound really excited to talk about my business today. And it's like, but I've done videos time and time again. I've talked with people. I'm starting to help people with their speaking. And 3 years ago, I was still in the fitness business, and I'm talking about health and fitness, like sounding super excited. So doing videos alone can help you get better at speaking. Now, it's not, the reps will help too, but you also need to go back and review those videos and look at, oh, wow, I sound really monotone, or I look really weird, or I'm not even looking at the camera. It looks like I'm looking down at somebody's chest or something like that. There's
Yeah.
little things you can start doing. So I'd say one, do videos, and two, if you can't afford to hire an actual speaking coach or communication coach, go to Toastmasters. It's like $120 for the year, and you can learn so much and be in a supportive environment that can give you a lot of great structure to learn at a very low cost. And of course, you can go on YouTube. I've got I've got a podcast there too, but I've also got other content there to help you with that, as well as there's plenty other speaking coaches out there that can give you tons of tips for free on social media. So do those things.
Great tips. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. And I agree with you. Video is the new way. And if you're not doing video,
Yeah.
just like I say with podcasts, I say, people ask me, what's the first thing I do? Record podcast. Record on your
Yeah.
phone, like you said, my Android phone. Just kidding. Your phone, and just put it out there. You Zoom, whatever. Practice makes perfect. That's why Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, that's why they were excellent. Kobe Bryant, because they practiced. So that leads to something interesting you talked about before the show in the green room, was the speaking bars method. How does that serve people when they're trying to be better speakers?
Yeah. So what I found when it comes to coaching and building my coaching business, as well as leading people, is that most people aren't like us entrepreneurs and visionaries, where we can be told, hey, do this thing, and I'll figure it out and make it happen. So I've came up with this framework called the speaking bars method. And so the bars portion, not the speaking portion, is an acronym, which the B stands for beginning with the end in mind. So I need to think about, where in the world am I trying to go when it comes to my speech, so I can know what that end goal is. And am I trying to inspire? And am I trying to make people laugh? Am I trying to educate? Or am I trying to sell them? Like, what am I doing with my speech? And so I can begin with this end in mind, because it allows me to know where I'm trying to go and have an overarching idea of what I want to speak about. But then as I get nervous throughout my speech, or I start losing my train of thought, I've got my end goal in mind, much like a GPS. If I know I'm going to Texas today, and you know, we'll need to be more specific later on with that, but if I'm trying to go to Texas, I know my GPS will reroute me to where I need to go as I get off track. And so the same thing for you in your speech. And then the next part is the audience awareness and understanding. So now I know where I want to take the speech, but in order for this speech to be really good for the audience, I need to know who they are. I need to understand who they are. I need to understand what they like, what they don't like. Are they adults? Are they kids? Are they men? Are they women? What does this audience look like? Because the way I'm going to talk to a child is going to be different than the way I talk to an adult. So knowing who that audience is going to be your next step to helping you prepare for your speech. And then remembering that this speech isn't about you, it's about your audience. And this does two things for you. One, it helps you get rid of those nerves, because a lot of us want to focus on ourselves and want to think about, oh man, what are they going to think about me? What am I going to get out of this speech? Which goes back kind of to commission breath. If you're there just for you, people are going to notice that. So when you focus on them, which is the second part, focusing on them, remembering it's not about you, they start to like you more. They start to trust you more. You're building up this credibility, and your speech is so much better because you are focused on them and helping them out and giving them that information, versus how can I make Philip or Steve, you know, if I'm Steve, how can I make myself look good? What's going to be good for me? And so just remember, it's not about you, it's about them. And then the last part is speak without expectation and serve. I've been on a ton of podcasts. I've done a lot of social media posts where I'm like, man, this is the one. This is going to be awesome. Like, especially social media posts, it's going to go viral. It sucks completely. Nobody likes it. Nobody pays attention to it, but I poured so much into it and I expected so much out of it, and it went nowhere. But I have other things where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to, I got something on my heart. I'm just going to put it out there. Whatever happens, happens. And boom, that is the one that everybody seemed to love. And so when you speak without expectation of what's going to happen, you're just putting yourself out there and you're pouring your heart out and you're almost becoming vulnerable. And the more vulnerable you can become, the more people are going to resonate with your message. So really speaking without expectation, and then serving as well, because the more we serve and just focus on giving to the audience without expecting something in return, that's when that message will resonate. And so that's really the framework I like to give people, to have that frame of mind, because when we can go in with that frame of mind as we prepare for our presentation, and even when we go to speak on stage, that'll help us keep ourselves in check and get rid of our ego and put it off to the side and focus in on that audience and really just serve them with our message.
It's amazing, Philip, when you serve, you get more likes because the word you use is heart.
Yeah.
You can't serve unless you have a heart. I don't know anybody that's a a bad person, whatever that may be, is out serving. It's like, hey, I just broke in your house, Philip, but you know what? I'm going to bring your wife flowers for your. It's just that it's not the yin and yang of that, and I love that.
Yeah.
So speaking using Barr's method, that can be done in your personal life as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It really can be done in any conversation. It doesn't have to even be a presentation or a speech on a stage. It can be done in your personal life, in any conversation. As you think about that, having a crucial conversation, like we talked about firing employees. Well, hey, you're going to that conversation. If you just go in it winging it, which I've been there. I've tried to do that. I've tried to have tough conversations, and I go out of it like, man, this sucked, or it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. But when I thought about that end in mind, I thought about who they were. I remembered, it's not about me, and I wanted to serve them with that conversation we had. That's when that conversation went so much better. So yeah, it's not about just speaking. It can be everyday life as well.
What I love what you do too, just came to my head, is your business is everybody.
Yeah.
You're not going to teach a 2-year-old, but I mean, a 12-year-old speak better in school, to the retired gentleman that's working at Walmart that needs to speak to people. You're in an industry that really everybody needs.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a good thing, but then a bad thing at the same
Yeah.
time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot like fitness. Everybody needs to be in better shape. They don't need to be the bodybuilder or the power lifter that lifts a ton of weight, but they do need to be in better shape. Unfortunately, it's not looked at as that way. And like we talked a little bit offline with Jerry Seinfeld, the number one thing that people hate the most is public speaking. Number two is dying. So they'd rather die than speak. So it is unfortunate, but it is something that can help you in every single area of your life if you just get good at it.
Yeah, and I was thinking nutrition too. Any nutrition and
Yeah.
people that everybody has to
Yeah.
eat. I mean, it's lifeblood of
Oh
of
yeah,
our bodies.
exactly.
So I like where we're going. We're out of time here, but I want to ask you this question. I ask a lot of my guests because it's really important. Your thoughts. What does a servant leader mean to you?
A servant leader to me, when I think of servant leader, I think of somebody that's willing to almost fall on a sword if needed, in a sense that if bad things happen, they're going to take the blame for it. They're not going to blame any of their team for that. They're going to take that. But more than that, it's about being willing to be in the position that's needed at that time. And I can think of a guy, a local business owner here who has a moving company, and there's times where he's the leader, he's out there networking, he's CEO, he's trying to make big moves happen, he's looking 6 months, 6 years out and everything. But there's times where he'll go get on a truck and he'll go move somebody at the same time. He's not afraid to do that. And to me, that's really what a servant leader is. They're going to be somebody that's going to be there, that's doing the work that's necessary to keep, especially from a business perspective, to keep the business moving forward and being there and not feeling like they're above somebody. They're going to be there for you, for the associate, for the team member, and help them no matter what.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great analogy. And if you're not mentoring people, you're not a leader either. That's one thing a leader's doing, however you're mentoring. Well, we've run out of time. You've been an absolute blessing because you've taken speaking to another level in servant, which I never thought get to be. I thought there was one level. You just topped it another notch. which is so important. Listeners, listen to this. Listen to what he's saying. Growth is what we're looking for. And as you grow, you get better, and you get better, you can serve more people. And that's the ultimate goal, I think, in our life. So I want to thank you, Phil, for being on the show.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I want to say one other thing real quick,
Yeah.
that like Sherm, which is an HR company, they've done a study and they found that poor communication cost every single company per person about $4,200 a year. So if you've got a company of 100 people, that's 42 or $420,000 a year. You think about that. That is a lot of money for a simple thing that we are supposed to be able to do every day, is communicate. And that's not being an eloquent speaker. That is meaning that I have information in my head and I need to give you that information. So if you think that communication is not important for you, think again. Your company is missing out on so much money. And guess what? You're having that meeting to talk about the meeting you're going to have, or you're going to have a follow-up meeting to the meeting because y'all got sidetracked. Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of money that you can cut. And right now we're coming into an economy that we don't know what's going on. It's a great way to get better so you can save some money on everything. So yeah, communication is so important for us. And when we can transfer knowledge, transfer information, we can help in so many different areas.
That's so well said. The ROI of speaking. Thank you. Thank you for that stat. That's awesome. And that's why I had him on the show. True servant leader, definitely out there serving people. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you on the next episode. You all have an incredible day.